Hi everyone, it's Andrew here from Amiga Digital. And the other day, my friend of mine asked me a question, or what was my opinions on expired domains. And I thought to myself, I haven't really done much video content about expired domains in respect to SEO or search engine optimization. There is multiple benefits of using them, and there's multiple ways to abuse them and potentially get you a Google penalty. In Google's web developer documentation in the spam guidelines, they actually list expired domains to the point to drive or manipulate search engine rankings as a clear violation of their spam policy. I've used them for the purpose of conversions. I theoretically have never really used them for SEO purposes to manipulate search engine rankings, because I felt like once you, not because I'm a martyr in any way, but changing registry details. If Google knows, especially .au domains or .nz, where you've got business information associated with the domain, you put them in your name, that's kind of going to devalue a lot of the time the purpose of the search engine benefits of that. Do you think Google doesn't know that business information is being changed? But I'll give you a couple of stories where I have used them in a positive way. I used to work for a jeweler for 10 years, and there was an article where we ranked really well for, it's gone now, but it was the best places to buy an engagement ring in Sydney. And this article ranked really well for that keyword. You type in engagement ring Sydney, it would rank, and it would drive, I'm sure it would drive, because we were ranking for engagement ring Sydney as well as this article. But this article, I'm sure, was ranking for so many other terms, and this particular page was going to be ranking for a lot of variations. I'm sure that we were not ranking for, despite the fact that we were ranking alongside them for some terms. There's informational search intent, so I kind of knew that there's going to be a lot of keywords or topics that we weren't going to rank for that this article was. You could look at Ahrefs, you could look at SEMrush to get the third-party data, but I just knew from first-party data that it was going to be ranking for a lot of other terms as well. So on that particular list, the best place to buy an engagement ring was a jeweler that went out of business, that didn't exist, and the domain had expired. So theoretically, anyone could have taken it. Now, we took that domain, and I guess the black hat way would be to take that domain and, put the site back up with all its original content and then link to my client. I didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to do that for a couple of reasons. This wasn't about SEO. This was strictly about conversions, right? So we bought the domain for $22. We redirected it to my client with UTM source perimeters. At the time, we could have got the email set up where we could have taken in their Instagram and all the rest of it, right? Didn't want to do all of that stuff. I just didn't feel good about doing that, but that was an option as well. Just the domain, okay? And we redirected the domain to our engagement rings page with the UTM source perimeters attached. It would generate 3 to 4 inquiries every single month. And you think to yourself, 3 to 4, is that it? 3 to 4 engagement ring inquiries, okay? I know of definitely one sale that we've gotten that time, a 20, 30 grand sale. I'm sure there was more, but from what I could track, it was a 20, 30 grand sale with a $22 purchase. What's that percentage in terms of ROAS? What's the ROAS there? But as SEO, sometimes we get sort of caught up in, we look at the domain, we look at the backlinks, et cetera, et cetera. No one cares about this site. I think it had like a bunch of spammy links. It had 2 links, but this particular link, they got 1 link from this site that would generate us a $20,000 sale. So where's the return on advertising spend there, buddy? So in that situation, it made sense. And over time, that particular articles would die off. And I believe that particular websites would shut down anyway. And I know who the author was. I kind of spoke to him a couple of times. Really good guy, really good publication. I was flirting with the idea of buying that publication just because I knew it was such a good content asset. I just didn't feel like at the time I would be able to really grow it further, and thought, it would just be a major undertaking. The other time I wanted to buy an expired domain was a business that technically had shut down, and the domain was for sale. I lost out. It was in the kids' wear clothing industry. And I remember I would have told my wife if I had purchased that domain for about $17,000 to $20,000. It's probably, I can't even remember, something like that. I would now be in the kids' clothing business. I would have taken that site and I would have legitimately wanted to build up that business. It really wasn't so much of any other reason. Now, the reason I tell you this story is I was outbid by a competitor. And you know what they did with the domain? Didn't redirect it, didn't establish it again. They just let it die. I'm thinking to myself, it was just a white screen. I'm thinking, why would you do that? What would be the point of doing that? I really did not know. I did not understand it. There's a real bad, I think that would literally be the worst thing you could do. Why not redirect it to your site, or at the very least, you could set up another entire clothing business, right? This site used to get 30 to 40,000 people a month. I know this because I know people that were working on this old domain in SEO. Great domain. And they just let it die. I just didn't get it. Either bad SEO advice or completely unaware of the SEO value and benefit there. So what I don't like is people just kind of like buying domains and just, well, it's got links pointing to them. Yeah, but what would be the point of that? If you are going to do that and the domain matches what you're working on, at least you could then, what I would do in that situation is try to contact some of these site owners to get that link overturned and pointing to your site. So if it's linking to a expired domain and that your domain is redirecting to your new site, at least you can contact that site and say, hey, look, you're linking to this site, enter this page. We've got and let's say they're linking to the best place to buy an engagement ring in Sydney for 2023. Well, you could say, hey, that article, that domain is linked to us, but why not create a 2026? And then you can link to us and we can help you. Trying to get those links overturned, and then eventually you can just delete that domain because you've basically taken all the valuable links, and then you just, like all the spammy crap, you're not even redirecting it back to your site. You're going to remove the redirects. That could be a business case there. But just to just buy domains just to like get them redirected to your domain, I mean, it's a bit old, it's a bit outdated, and you can also potentially get yourself a penalty. So in a certain situation where there is opportunities to get expired domains for the purpose of potentially taking their old external links, contacting these site owners with better content assets. So you're not just redirecting the domain, but then you're also going on your site and understanding what was the original context or the original reason that they were linking to that site originally, and then you can then create something better and then pitch it to them to link to your version of that. They're probably going to be more likely to want to link to you because they've already linked to something similar in the past. Now, if they've got some relationship with that domain or whatever, and they don't, and they might have known the person, they had a steak dinner with them, okay, but don't just manipulate, like there's this constant like manipulation without any sort of intelligence. You can actually do better things with expired domains, not because Google told you to, but just because there's better, safer, and just absolutely beneficial ways forward to handling expired domains. And I would tread very carefully with them. There could be trademarks associated with them. There could be it can definitely get you and land you in some hot water if you just get the wrong expired domains just to redirect them. I've got some external domains, expired domains purchased pointing to Mega Digital because it's more like a museum. It's nostalgia. It has nothing to do with SEO. In fact, these domains are pretty crappy anyway. They don't even have that many links. It's just a nostalgia purpose. It's something that I want to create in the future with some SEO museum, tracking back my career and lifetime in SEO. So, and the story there, right? So just be careful with them. Have a conversation with your SEOs. If they're buying expired domains, have a chat with them. Have that conversation. If you've got any questions about your situation with expired domains or anything related to SEO, feel free to reach out at any time. Have a lovely day. Hope that helps inspire you. See you later.